Welcome back to Crash Test Hockey, where I talk about all things NHL. If you happen to be new to this channel, please smash that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Let's talk about games that happened on Friday, January 14th, the night that I'm filming this video here. First off, the Florida Panthers destroyed the Dallas Stars 7-1. Bobrovsky started in net for Florida. He saved 29 of 30 with a .967 save percentage. Ottinger started but didn't finish the game. He saved 13 of 17, walked away with a .765 save percentage. Hudobin took over at some point there. Now, in a game like this, somebody had to get a hat trick, right? And that was Sam Bennett, who finished with 4 points on the night. Huberdeau had 4 points as well, one of those goals. Duclair had 3 points, one goal for him as well. Who else scored for Florida? Forsling had a goal. He's the defenseman who's less than 50% owned, by the way, for you fantasy hockey people out there. He's been quite consistent in the past 8 or so games. Carter Verhaeghe also scored his 11th of the season. One would think like, well, Barkov must have had like 5 or 6 points tonight, right? No, he had 1 assist. That was it. And for the Dallas Stars, the only goal scorer was Roope Hintz, who had his 15th of the season. Next game let's talk about here is the Minnesota Wild. It must have been full moon because they beat the Ducks 7-3. Another beating here. Kakkonen started in net for Minnesota. He was amazing, had a .929 save percentage, stopped 39 of 42. Stalraz started for the Ducks, finished with a .793 save percentage, stopped 23 of 29. Dostal took over at some point. Now, keep in mind, Troy Terry was pulled just before the game started or so for COVID protocol. Getzlaf was back, though. Gibson is still not back from COVID protocol. Maybe he'll be back later this week. We'll see. Matt Zuccarello had 3 points in this game. 2 of those were goals. The youngster Matt Boldy had 1 goal, 1 assist. Ryan Hartman, ditto for him. Kevin Fiala also had a goal, his 8th of the season. And am I missing anyone? Matt Dumba had his 4th goal as well for the Wild, and Victor Rask had his 5th. Now for Anaheim, the goals went to Max Comtois, who had his 2nd, Derek Grant, who had his 4th, and Trevor Zegras, who had his 10th. Last game of the night I'm going to talk about here is the Colorado Avalanche versus the Arizona Coyotes. This should have been a blowout, right? No, it wasn't. Arizona's playing spoiler lately. Now, the Avalanche did win, but only in the shootout, and the Yotes actually led for like 30 seconds in this game as well. Now, Francouz started in net for the Avalanche, finished with an .885 save percentage, but hey, he got the win, and he was pretty good in the shootout too. He saved 23 of 26. Prosvedov started for the Arizona Coyotes and saved 44 of 47. All of a sudden, Arizona is spitting out goalie machines here. Now, Burakovsky had a goal and an assist for Colorado. Devon Taves had a couple of assists. Rantanen had a goal as well. Tyson Jost scored his 5th too. For the Coyotes, Keller had a shorthanded goal, his 13th of the season. Larson also scored, and Shane Gostisbehere had his 7th of the season for that club. And in the shootout, only 1 player scored, and that was Nazem Kadri, who was shunned from the All-Star game. Now, let's preview tomorrow's games. Let's just keep on going here. There are 13 of them. I'm trying to make this video as short as possible. Let's get to it. And let's talk about who's going to be in net for each of these clubs as well. Now, I live out west, and the games here will be starting at 10 a.m., and the last game starts at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow. Wow, I just had to take a drink after that. Now, I'm not going to be reviewing tomorrow's games. I'll do Sundays. It's just, yeah, it's too much. I've got life to do. So, in any case, Nashville versus Boston. Saros is projected to start tomorrow. For Boston, it's Ullmark. Now, the Predators lost their last game to the Buffalo Sabres. I want to say it was 4-1. Forsberg, it's not certain if he'll play yet or not. He entered COVID protocol a little while ago. Boston has now won 4 in a row. And Rask rejoined the club last game, starting in the win when they beat Philly 3-2. Next game, we've got Vancouver versus Carolina. Demko and Anderson are projected to start there. Vancouver's lost 2 in a row after going on a barn-burning winning streak with their new coach, Bruce Boudreau. So we'll see how that looks against Carolina, who lost their last game 6-0 to the Columbus Blue Jackets. And that was with Anderson in net. So we'll see how this one goes. Next game is the Washington Capitals versus the New York Islanders. The projected starters for both clubs are Samsonovs and Sorokin. Did I say Samsonovs? It's just one guy, by the way. Washington is 4-3-3 in their last 10. They were first in the Metro at one point, but now they're third. The Islanders have won 3 in a row now, and they're 6-2-2 in their last 10. They're still last in the Metro, but they've only played 29 games, whereas every other club in that division has played between 34 and 38. So you're saying there's a chance. Next game we have here is the Columbus Blue Jackets versus the Florida Panthers. Now, Columbus, as I mentioned, they won their last game, beating Carolina 6-0. Who are these people? Florida, of course, is playing back-to-back after demolishing Dallas 7-1 on Friday/tonight. Moving on, let's talk about Toronto versus St. Louis. Now, Merzlurkins and Bobrovsky are projected to start, if I didn't mention that already. Toronto versus St. Louis. Now, the two goalies projected to begin in this one are Campbell and Binnington. Toronto 6-3-1 in their last 10. They lost their last game 2-1 to the Arizona Juggernauts, and the Leafs are third in the Atlantic. St. Louis is 7-2-1 in their last 10 games, won their last 3 in a row, and are third in the Central. Next up, we've got the Battle of the Titans. The Buffalo Sabres versus the Detroit Red Wings. Now, the Sabres are 3-4-3 in their last 10. They won their last game against Nashville. And Detroit is 3-5-2 in their last 10, losing their last game. Moving on, we've got the Dallas Stars versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. I keep on forgetting to tell you who the goalies are. Dell and Nedeljkovic are projected to start for Buffalo and Detroit. For the Stars and Tampa, we're looking at Hudobin and Vasilevsky projected to start in those two games. Now, Dallas is 5-5-0 in their last 10. They're playing a back-to-back game after taking that beating 7-1 against Florida today/tonight. They are 6th in the Central. They keep on slipping out of that playoff picture there. I'm going to put a video out on UFA trade targets soon, and I think I'm going to start with the Central, so look out for that. Now, Tampa Bay is 6-3-1 in their last 10. They won their last 2, and they're second in the Atlantic, recently taken over by Florida. Next game up, we've got the New York Rangers versus the Philadelphia Flyers. Shesterkin and Hart are both projected to start those games. Now, New York is first in the Metro, and they're 6-3-1 in their last 10. Panarin, of course, is back. And will Schneider play a game? He is the rookie who had his first goal against San Jose. Right shot defenseman who was drafted a couple years ago, who I wish Toronto would have drafted. And Philadelphia is 6th in the Metro, currently 3-4-3 in their last 10. And Drew is back, of course. He played his first game in their last matchup versus Boston. He had 0 points. Next game we have here is the Anaheim Ducks versus the Chicago Blackhawks. Dostal and Fleury are both projected, but like I mentioned earlier, Gibson could be back from COVID protocol, so he could start for the Ducks. Now, Anaheim, of course, is playing back-to-back games. They're 3-5-2 in their last 10, lost 2 in a row now, but they're still second in the Pacific. So, yeah. Chicago is 4-3-3 in their last 10, won 3 in a row now, and 7th in the Central. Next game we have coming up is a death rematch. 2-man enter, 1-man leaves. Colorado versus Arizona again. This could be another exciting game, because tonight's was, or it could be a complete blowout. And not for Arizona. Moving on, we've got LA versus Seattle. Now, Jonathan Quick and Grubauer are both projected to start the games tomorrow. LA 7-3-0 in their last 10, won 3 in a row. They're third in the Pacific right now, and they're in a playoff spot. And they've kind of been playing spoilers lately by beating some good teams, kicking Pittsburgh's butt 6-2 in their last one. Seattle, I'm pretty sure, has got the worst 10-game streak going on now. They're 1-7-2, lost 5 in a row. And, of course, they're last in the Pacific, but not last in the league. So there's that. Next game we have Ottawa versus Edmonton. Now, Matt Murray is projected to start, but Skinner is confirmed to start for the Oilers. Ottawa's 6-3-1 in their last 10. They won their last game 4-1 versus Calgary. They're 7th in the Atlantic at this moment, but they've only played 30 games. Just one more than the Islanders. Edmonton is 2-6-2 on a giant skid ever since the beginning of September here. I'm sure you've heard of it. They've lost 2 in a row, and no one can stop talking about Evander Kane. I had to bring him up, at least once a video. Okay, maybe twice. I'll try and squeeze him in again. Last game of the night. It's Pittsburgh versus San Jose. Now, Jerry and Hill are projected to start for these two clubs. The Penguins are 8-2-0 in their last 10, one of the hottest teams in the NHL lately. However, they did lose their last game 6-2 to LA. They're 4th in the Metro, and only 3 pints? It is Friday night, why not? They're 3 points behind Washington. And San Jose is 5-5-0 in their last 10. They lost their last game 3-0 versus the New York Rangers, and are 4th in the Pacific at the moment. There you have it. Thanks for sticking around with me for that. Now, if you want to support me or the channel, you can check out my crowdfunding site called Buy Me a Coffee. You can find a link to that down in the description box or just on my YouTube channel profile page. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, which will alert you when my next video comes out. Thanks again, and hey, please be kind to each other out there in this crazy COVID Omicron multiverse we're living in right now, and I'll see you soon.